Hey, it's me again. Hey, now we're going to get into part 2, which is what does success look like? Here we go. So I want you to take a step back and I want you to slow down and evaluate your situation. So with our quoting process, has everybody been trained? Is it easy to find the information? Have people had the necessary length of time in the chair to know that you need a yellow, a white underbase on a yellow shirt for light blue ink? Okay. So I want you to think about documenting your core tasks. What is the work that we're doing? We're quoting, or we're burning a screen, or we're receiving goods in, or whatever we're doing. What is the work? Describe the work. Take pictures, take movies. We want to understand what is the work that we're trying to do. Who is doing the work? Is this a particular person? Are you using a computer program that just you put the inputs in and it spits out the answer? Who is doing the actual work? Is there crew of people? Is there day shift? Is there night shift? Kind of document who is doing the work for this. When does it due? When we're doing a quote, we're trying to get the quote out as fast as we can. And ideally we get it in a rather short period of time, because we know that if somebody's getting quotes, sometimes it's the first one in gets the quote, right? So if you wait till tomorrow, the next day to quote, you might miss your opportunity. So if we're doing receiving, for example, we should be receiving everything in receiving on the day that the inventory comes in, and not wait till tomorrow, because that's another business day that we didn't find that problem when we're missing some of those island yellow shirts that we just ordered, right? Where in the shop is the work? Is this in your office? Do you have customer service people that work from home? Do they have the same access to everything that somebody that's actually working in the building has? Where do people do the work? You need to document this. What equipment is needed to perform the work? And by equipment, it's not just, hey, this is this computer system, right? But it could be using a particular set of software. If it's in a department like, production, it could be what printing press or embroidery machine or heat press or whatever. What is the equipment that's needed? And is the equipment functioning properly? What other departments influence the work? Right? So for example, if you're in the art department, your influencer is probably customer service or sales. So if they don't give you really good art instructions, it's really hard to create the art. In customer service, when you're quoting, who else influences you? Well, you have to rely on the system to tell you how much the t-shirt price is, or your pricing matrices that you've set up in your system, or whatever. Those influence your work. Do you have an easy to read checklist? So on this color shirt, I need an underbase with this color ink, that type of stuff, right? So who is influencing you? Do you know who all the influencers are? How is success defined? So if I'm quoting, success is about getting a customer to accept the quote, obviously, right? But does it go in a presentation format? Do you need to do it within 30 minutes? Is there a particular way you're sending a quote? Are you sending sample shirts? Are you sending visuals? Are you taking the artwork that they sent and putting on a t-shirt and giving it to them so all I have to do is click a button and they've ordered it, right? How is success defined in your processes? How is failure defined, right? So if we wait till tomorrow to quote, that could be a failure, right? Are you mapping out what the success and failure look like? You know what I'm saying? So it's like one of these things that you have to have this written down and your team has to understand this. So if you want better success, a good way to start is what is pass, what is fail. So we want to chart out our processes. And of course, there's fantastic software out there that does all kinds of really crazy stuff, but you don't have to get fancy if you don't want to. It's real easy to do this with your phone, taking pictures, using Post-it notes, putting it on the wall, using index cards, using whiteboards. So using a yellow legal pad, just writing stuff down, right? You don't have to get fancy. You just need to really kind of document what you want to do and then look at the steps, look at the inputs, look at how you make a decision, look at all the things that impact everything. And then we're going to get into that in a minute. But what I wanted to tell you is you don't have to get too crazy with this to understand and build a better system. If you want to go crazy and use the software, knock yourself out, right? But here's what we're trying to find. We're trying to find out, what does success look like? That's the part of the process that we want. We want to really know when we're hitting it, when we're claiming victory, right? What does success look like? That's what we're trying to map out with our process. So everybody knows and we can train on it. So I want you to think back to this example with these crazy quantity of shirts, adult and youth sizes. It's on a yellow shirt. The customer provides the art. What could go wrong there, right? It's on a left chest, these two Pantone colors. It's on a full back, the same colors plus black. It's for an event, so you can't be late. It's 5 business days from today, and you're shipping to a state, to a city in your state. So you need to pick one, right? Remember all this stuff, right? So with that, I want to talk about the reason why we go wrong with these things is because we don't have what's called CPR. Now, this is something that Mark Goudray talks about all the time, which is consistency, predictability, and repeatability. So if you've got 4 people in your customer service team or sales team, and they can't quote, so everything is always the same, why? Are they using the right pricing matrix? Are they looking things up? Did they forget to add the rush fee or shipping? Do they not understand the underbase on the yellow shirt, that type of stuff? What we need to do is to make it easier for them so they can find the right answer and come up with the right answer. So if you don't give them the proper tools, you're not going to have CPR. So this is really a key part of building any process, is this idea. Being consistent, being predictable, being repeatable. And it has to be easy. If it's hard, if I got to go look something up, if I have to go ask somebody a question, it's not going to get done right. Just because human nature says, I'm not doing that, right? We want to make it so it's so ridiculously easy, it's hard to do the wrong thing, right? So it's easy to do the right thing. Here's what you got to do. Ding, ding, ding. It's done. It's the right thing every time. That's what we want. CPR. So with that, let's talk about the quoting process just real quick. Our goal here is to create an easy to use system so every quote is calculated the same way, right? So that's just a way to map that out. That's what we want, is an easy to use system so every quote is calculated the same way. So if we're thinking about how we're going to build a better process, we have to define some things. What is easy to use? Do we have a system? What is considered a quote? How do we calculate it? Are there 3 pricing matrices or 6? What do we do for light colors and dark colors? And there's a lot of stuff that's buried in this sentence, right? That's the reason why sometimes we have to map stuff out, because there's so many variables, it gets super confusing. So here's a great quote. So Robert Kiyosaki says, who is the rich dad, poor dad guy, he says, confidence comes with discipline and training. Okay, so if you build your process and you actually use it and you train your people with it, you will have confidence and you'll have success. That's the reason I chose that quote. So I want you to think about when we're building our process, it doesn't matter if we have a process and we never use it, or we have a process and we don't train our people on how to use it, it's not going to work. So we have to have the discipline to use it, and we have to have the training. And that's a whole different subject, but I just wanted to kind of throw that in there.